the recording.
Oh no, that's okay. I'm sitting at the dining room table. I can I can go ahead and do it. It's not a
Okay,
problem. Not a problem
that
at
would be
all.
awesome. Thank you so much, Tina. Thank.
Oh, no problem. Okay, it's 6:02, so I will call this meeting, this regular meeting of the Harriet Tubman Elementary LSC to order. Want to welcome some new faces. Well, not new faces completely, but new to LSC meetings. Principal Gibson, it's wonderful to see you here as a board member, of course, and as principal. And I think I saw AP Moore had joined as well. So welcome to both of you, and it's wonderful to have you both. So let's see. The first item on the agenda was the call to order, and now we would do roll call. As I call your name, please state your name and your function on the council. Lori,
Ooh, first, Lori Viets, parent rep.
Sarah. Nope, we can't hear you, Sarah, if you're talking. Okay, we'll come back to you, Sarah. Emily.
Emily Holbert, teacher rep.
Mr. Hall.
Nick Hall, teacher rep.
Principal Gibson.
Kimberly Gibson, proud principal at Harriet Tubman.
Sarah.
Gibson,
Sarah.
Sarah Gatto, parent rep.
Kate.
Kate Kaczynski, parent rep.
Cindy.
Cindy Watola, parent rep.
Let's see. I have to see who else we have in here.
You
Mac?
have Mac LeBoon, community rep.
And Marilyn.
Marilyn Rosario Caro, staff representative.
My name is Tina Holder King, parent rep, and I see we have Kirsten. We're doing roll call. Kirsten, if you're able to chime in.
Kirsten Clay, parent rep. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. And again, welcome everyone to this LSC meeting. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda, which was forwarded prior to the meeting. Is there a motion?
I motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Okay. It's been motioned and seconded to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Okay, with no discussion on the motion, we will take a vote. Those in favor of approving the agenda, please use your icon to vote. Okay, it appears to be unanimous. Please correct me if I'm seeing something different than what you see. Okay, the motion carries. The agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. We do not have any that I know of anyway. We don't have any minutes for approval. We will resume that for the next regular
Tina?
meeting.
I sent minutes. I sent minutes last week to the Tubman email. Did you?
Okay.
Did you guys not get them?
I don't recall seeing those, Cindy. I'll double check. I could have overlooked them, but I will double check and I'll get those distributed and put on the. Actually, I'll send them out, forward them to everyone so we can look at them before the next meeting. But yeah, I don't recall seeing them, but I'll double check.
Okay. Huh.
Which meeting was this for?
I'm sorry about that. That was for the August 2nd meeting.
Okay.
It was a meeting that was open and then went into closed session, and then I believe it was August 2nd. But
okay, it's quite possible that I overlooked them. It's quite possible.
That's okay. All right, I just wanted to let you know that there are minutes for that meeting.
Okay.
We'll track them down.
Yeah, sounds good. I'll double check after this and then distribute them so that we can approve the bolus at the October meeting. So there'll be several meetings to approve. The next item on the agenda is the principal report. And with that, I am going to turn things over to Principal Gibson.
Thank you so much.
Did you have anything you were you going to present? Oh, okay. AP Moore is presenting. Okay, great.
She's going to pull it up so I can look at your beautiful faces while I share the report. Thank you so much, everyone who came to attend our first local school council meeting of the fall 21-22 school year. As I like to start all meetings, our mission at Tubman is our promise is to provide a nurturing and rigorous learning environment. We will instill within our students a love of learning by identifying their positive distinctions through academics, the arts, and athletics. We empower students to be responsible contributing members of an international committee. Every learner, every day. Our vision. As a result, Tubman students strive to be lifelong learners who are persistent problem solvers, are inquisitive about the world, have a strong sense of self, and articulate their thoughts, feelings, and ideas through ongoing reflection. Tubman students strive to be empathetic by understanding different perspectives while being mindful of the unique viewpoint. Tubman students strive to be caring and principled and to possess a foundation of knowledge that enables them to build a more peaceful world. Problem solvers contributing to the world. Current enrollment. As of 8/31/2021, our current enrollment for Tubman is as follows. For pre-K, we have one classroom at AM and PM with 29 students. K has 36 students, two classrooms. There's one first grade classroom with 39 students. There's two first grade classrooms with 39 students. There's second grade has 42 students. Third grade has 37 students. Fourth grade has 28. Fifth grade has 45. Sixth grade has 39. Seventh grade has 44. Eighth grade has 53. As of last week, we've seen about 32 students decrease in our attendance. There are several reasons for this. One, some of our families have traveled out of state because they already had family plans and CPS started a week early. So some families have to quarantine. We also have about 8 families that transferred out. And then we have some other students who are homesick. We use our strategic attendance plan to call all students on Monday, and I'm happy to say by Tuesday, we only had 7 students absent. Another thing we did to address the decrease in students is this week we opened up the post application with the access of enrollment for students in K through 8. So we will be increasing our attendance over the next couple weeks. School planning and budget. We use our continuous improvement work plan to decide how the budget is spent. We created it using school data. We identified our specific school goals, which you guys developed in the CIWP, and that drives our school budget planning. Currently, there has been no changes in the budget since I have taken place as the new principal. Next slide. Our CIWP strategies: social emotional learning, multi-tier systems of support, students' voice and engagement, and curriculum. I'd also like to share that we went over these in our leadership hard team meeting today, and we discussed how starting next week and for the next 3 weeks, we will audit our CIWP and ensure that it is updated so at the next LSC meeting, I can share what strategies are in progress, what are incomplete, and what we're still working toward, and what's completed. CIWP action items. There were several action items that we decided on as a school for social emotional learning, multi-tier systems of support, student voice and engagement, and curriculum. Currently, we have had a strong focus on social emotional learning for our adults, our staff in the building, and our students. We discussed our MTSS committee, and they will have their first meeting this month. I went into every classroom and specifically our middle school students, soliciting students who wanted to volunteer to join our student voice committee and our student council, and we will have new members soon. And we are focusing on our curriculum and developing units and scope. Teachers had time during week 0 to work on revising their current units of scope and sequence. CIWP implementation timeline. What will we be doing next week is reviewing this timeline and seeing what ways can we adjust it. Some of the members who will be accountable for this timeline and reviewing it is our HEART team members, which is our administrative team, and our ILT team. Our ILT team will be meeting bi-monthly, and we will be working on updating our CIWP implementation and timeline, and we will be accountable for those actions. 2021-22 funding sources. So discretionary funding sources we currently have is our student-based budget. That's why we're working on increasing our attendance. We have state aid and Title II. We also get support from our friends of Tubman and the Cubs charity. Centrally funded positions are paid by the district. Those are our diverse learner teachers and paraprofessionals, early childhood teachers and paraprofessionals, our magnet cluster, international baccalaureate, our bilingual, our critical language, our security guard, lunchroom, counselor, and clerk. 2021-22 full budget plan. Discretionary funds. We have already matched a half-time case manager to make it a full-time position. I wanted to share with the LSC today that our case manager is also our intervention specialist. She will be working on helping students to address unfinished learning. Also, we funded the extended school day staff. We will be using our moving forward together to address students' unfinished learning, as well as providing enrichment activities. We will be offering a virtual as well as in-person learning. We also have our JS school to support us with lunch and recess, as well as after-school care. The Cubs charity donated $25,000 that we will be using toward the teacher subscription and our online student learning subscriptions. Centrally funded positions, we have a half-time bilingual ELPT teacher, addition of a half-time case manager, which is Ms. Rebecca Rosenberg, and we did lose one paraprofessional. But one thing we gained since this budget, the district has funded 2 miscellaneous employees. I'm sorry I didn't add that to the slide. So we will be hiring 2 miscellaneous employees to support us throughout the day, in addition to our care room aide. And Friends of Tubman help support staff professional development. Fall 21-22 reopening updates. I'd like to share a shout out to our Friends of Tubman. I wanted to share the back to school bash. I had never experienced a more engaging, committed activity to join staff, students, and families. This year we had over 200 people participate, and these are just a few of the highlights and pictures. Here's some additional. As you can see, we had representation from Friends of Tubman, our LSC, and our network chief, as well as a few other visitors. I wanted to share Tubman's first day of school since I know many families in our community are not able to come in right now. As you can see, here's our admin team. We did visit every single classroom. You might even catch me dancing or running around at recess with the kids. I also spoke trying to recruit members for our student voice and our student council committee. As well as I want to point out that there's a picture with the chief of operations, Mrs. McGuire. I supported walking around looking at the improvements, and I'm very happy to share that I advocated we will be getting air conditioning in our auditorium paid by the district. And I also advocated, in addition to that, the marquee will say Tubman. Agassiz is coming down. We are moving forward together, and we will not take that expense. We will be getting CPS to take care of that expense. Attendance plan. Based off our CIWP and off the previous years, there was a goal set at 96%. I want to continue that goal. So our overall school-wide goal is 96%. The strategic attendance plan we put in place is we created an attendance team. Every day, any student who does not show up and attend school will receive a well-being check to see if there's any resources the family need, any support or any help to get the students here every single day, or to see if there's something going on in the family and ways we can support them, ensuring ways that FOT and the school can support them. We have weekly attendance meetings. Now, universal masking means all people over the age of 2 while in the CPS building must wear a mask or cloth face covering regardless of vaccination status while in the CPS building. Families, this has been an issue. Please help us and spread the word. We all must wear masks. The mask must cover your mouth and nose completely with 2 or more layers of washable, breathable cloth in order to achieve their purpose, which is to mitigate COVID-19 transmission. Students will be allowed to remove their masks for recess and other activities such as lunch. Or if they're outside, some of the kids have incentives to go outside more than once. Sickness. If your child is sick and or has COVID-19 symptoms, please have them stay home. If your child is waiting on the results of a COVID-19 test because they're experiencing COVID-19 symptoms, please have them stay home. If a child has COVID-19 symptoms when in school, they will be escorted to the care room to contact a parent or guardian for a pickup. Procedures if COVID-19 case is reported in our school. These are the newest updates. Individuals or parents of students who test positive for COVID-19 report to CPS at cps.edu/COVID results to help slow the spread and protect others. The district's 24-person contact tracing team investigates the case through a phone interview to gather specific, detailed, confidential information and identifies close contact. The team works 6 days per week and collaborates closely with the Chicago Department of Public Health. After the interview, the case is directed to isolate, and any unvaccinated close contacts are directed to quarantine. CPS contact tracing team provides the school with guidance to prevent or contain COVID-19 transmission, and it is crafted all public health communications for families. District-wide COVID-19 data is tracked. You can see it on the CPS website. This slide shows what happens if there is a COVID outbreak. Then the school will get instructions whether we move to virtual instruction. This virtual instruction can be for a full classroom or individual or small group of students. For example, for the individual or small group of students, if there was a student prior to Monday who tested positive for COVID, the next student would be required to quarantine. The teacher would be required to provide simultaneously teaching for that student, and the school would administer and ensure that technology is taken to the home. In the case since we started school, if there is a COVID-19 case, there can be an issue Once we are notified that we flip to remote, it will be a full classroom. What you see on this slide is for pre-K. They will have 60 minutes if it's a flip to remote. And K through 8 will have 150 minutes of synchronous instruction per day if we flip to remote. That requires principal and the chief approval. Facts. Can we offer simultaneously instruction to students who are out sick for another reason? We put this on here because this is a question we've been getting from families that their child is sick. Unfortunately, we're not able to due to ISB guidelines. ISB guidelines are clear. Remote instruction is only for students who are not vaccinated or not eligible for vaccination and required to quarantine according to a local or public health department. If a student requires quarantine due to travel, do they qualify for remote learning? Unfortunately, I'm sorry, the district's answer is no. Only students under quarantine or isolation are able to have and qualify for remote instruction. Screening and testing. At current levels of transmission, the district is committed to offering weekly COVID-19 testing to 100% of asymptomatic students and staff who provide written consent to monitor and measure the COVID-19 prevalence in our schools. This is an opt-in testing program for students, and parent consent is required to test. It will be an anterior nasal swab PCR test, and parents will receive the results via email to keep confidentiality or text 24 to 72 hours after testing. More information will come. These are just additional resources for vaccination information and access that we wanted to share with the community. Can you go back to that slide for one more second? Just wanted to leave it up in case some people are trying to see the numbers. Okay, you can change it. What's to come? Currently, we're working on developing instructional schedules that maximize both SEL and content area needs. We also are prioritizing critical on-grade level standards and revising IB unit scopes accordingly. We are creating intervention and enrichment programs that will be before and after school, and we are ensuring ongoing communication and partnership with parents and families. On here, I wanted to show principal competencies as of my first 30 days as principal here at Tubman. One of the things for continuous improvement for staff and students is I revised the MFT plan to support unfinished learning for all students. Students who are DL learners, especially our students who catch the bus home. Currently, we have virtual and in-person options. I advocated for the porta potties for back to school bash and air conditioning in the auditorium. For powerful professional learning, we provided week 0 professional learning for all staff, which included both administration and staff as facilitators. We addressed acceleration versus remediation during this meeting. We also planned differentiated PD for teachers and ESP going forward. College and career. I'm very proud of this. Something we brought to Tubman is we developed IB door signs outside each and every classroom, showcasing staff and the colleges they attended to promote college and career readiness. Families and communities. As principal, I supported the back to school bash. I plan to host a monthly principal conversation. Our first one is scheduled for this Friday. I hope you can make it at 9 o'clock. And also facilitating and supporting staff to schedule one-on-ones for self-discipline thinking and action. I worked collaboratively with staff to develop that strategic attendance plan. And I also hosted our room parents during a listening session prior to school starting to hear their concerns and support and ways they could support our school. I don't know if you noticed on all these slides, but before we go to questions and discussions, we developed a school model and it was written by me. We change the narrative and write our own story. I say this to students and staff every single day because we are the new leaders of our destiny. Are there any questions or comments?
Thank you so much, Principal Gibson. I will ask anyone who wants to chime in to please go ahead. I see Mac, you have your hand raised, and then Lori.
That was accidental. I'm sorry. But thank you so much for the presentation. That was great.
Lori? Oh, we can't hear you.
Hey, yep,
Oh.
I was trying to find that magic button. Again, that was awesome. That was such a fun presentation to have all that info. I am going to state for the record that I think it's bonkers that we are not having a remote learning option for kids who are unable to be vaccinated. I have two 10-year-olds that I haven't let eat in a restaurant or go into a grocery store, and I'm sending them back to school. And that is my choice, but my other choice would be to unenroll them. CPS is not being friendly toward parents. So I think we have a lot of young kids and their parents are very afraid. So the fact that we do have the ability to do remote learning, as has been shown, that if someone has to quarantine, that it's available to those students, but not to everybody, is insulting with the Delta variant that's going around. How long does contact tracing take? So if you get a report, how long is it going to be before the contact tracing is completed and that information is returned to the school and then to the people that it affects?
So actually, it's been happening within 24 hours. Currently, I can't share that. But also, Lori, I totally understand you. Remember, I work for the district. Doesn't mean I agree with everything that goes on. I want to share that. But one way around that, if a parent reaches out to the teacher or reaches out to me personally and tell me that their child has COVID, I'm flipping the classroom to remote with my chief approval. I'm not waiting. Once I hear from a parent and you communicate that you took your child, I'm flipping that classroom to protect all of the students, especially elementary students who cannot get vaccinated.
Yep. That's awesome, which leads to my next question. Are we prepared to get everyone the tech that is necessary? If I'm already hearing other schools have had cases, schools are already going into lockdown. Are we prepared to get everybody the technology that they're going to need to move to remote?
So this summer we invested in 165 additional Chromebooks and they've already come in. So I already met with our leadership team. We already have Chromebooks ready and to distribute. Like if I got a call today, tomorrow morning I will be telling you, come pick up your child's Chromebook. We flip to remote. We are already ready.
And do we have ways that we could deliver it to parents who couldn't get there? I mean, I just want to make sure that
We've
everybody's
actually
supported.
delivered this week to a family that could not get here. I have 2 plans in place, including me dropping off to the porch, no contact.
Excellent. And my final comment is I love the idea of putting up colleges, but I hope that we're also really supporting kids with the idea that you don't have to go to college to be successful, that there's technical options, and college may not be for everyone for a lot of different reasons, but also when we're thinking about ways to encourage further education, that we think outside of the college model. So thank you. That was fun.
Sarah, I see you have your hand raised, and then Kate.
Thank you. Thank you, Principal Gibson. I deeply appreciate the presentation. And I apologize for my video. I don't know what's going on. I apologize that you all can't see me. But just really great way. I appreciated that visual presentation. I'm a visual learner. And so that was really, really helpful. I have 2 questions. One is, it's exciting to hear the commitments you were able to get from the district about the marquee as well as the AC. I wonder if they gave you the commitment, but did they share a timeline or a time frame with you on that? And then my other question is, could you please explain unfinished learning? I think I've heard you say that a couple times, but could you just break that down? Thank you.
Yes. So to your first question, they haven't given me a timeline. They just visited our school this week. So just 2 days that they were here. So they haven't given me a timeline yet, but I will inquire within a week. To your second question, a lot of people use learning lost. I like to use unfinished learning because our students learn something even though they were remote. They learn to really use technology. They learn to support one another. They learn to navigate technology. So I like to call it unfinished learning, that we still have more work to do.
Thank you.
Kate?
Hi, thank you, Principal Gibson, for that great presentation. I just had a question about lunches. I know that it seems like everyone's doing a great job with wearing masks and doing distancing when possible during classrooms, but I was wondering during the lunch period, are teachers like opening windows, or are they turning on fans or trying to do anything to increase airflow in that time period when everyone has their masks off? Because I think lunchtime, or is there an option that we could possibly have kids have lunch outside for these weeks that Delta's surging and they are, they could be eating outside because the weather's nice? I just feel like lunchtime is the time of the day I am most concerned about. And I was just wondering what teachers' directive is on how to make it as safe as possible.
Okay, thank you for that question. That's a wonderful question. It's something that we're constantly revisiting and thinking of better ways. So we have the HEPA filters on in every classroom. Teachers are allowed to open their windows during lunch. One of the reasons we can't have everybody go outside for lunch, although it's a wonderful idea, while we have lunch, recess is going on simultaneously all through the building. So that would take so much away from instruction because we have to keep the cohorts or classroom of students separate during those times. So in case there is a case, is one class we have to shut down versus another. Also, in between the students leaving out after lunch, they're wiping down and sanitizing the areas that they were in. And in the younger rooms, we're actually having the custodials come in and clean.
So, sorry, can I just ask, so teachers I know can open the windows, but is it encouraged? I feel really uncomfortable with my kid eating in a classroom without a window open because HEPA filters are not going to clean 20 kids' air and stop. I mean, all of the studies that were done pre-Delta, and Delta is a completely different beast. So I feel like opening a window or putting a fan on to have air movement is a pretty simple thing that could make a big difference.
I'll take that feedback and include it in my newsletter. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thank you very much.
Is there anyone else who has questions?
I just want to say, if there's any way, I know a lot of schools have similar recess lunch things, but a lot of schools, especially elementary, are doing outdoor lunches. And if there's any way we can revisit that or think about it, I know that my kids are actually uncomfortable with the idea of eating. And I'm like, you can't not eat for 9 hours because you're afraid of that. But whatever we could do, like what Kate said, with everything going on, that would be really helpful.
Kirsten? You're on mute.
Sorry. My son was asking if it would be possible for him to eat lunch during recess. As in just like eat outside since they can have their mask off anyway.
Let me get back to you, Kirsten, with that.
Is there anyone else? I just had a couple comments and questions for you, Principal Gibson. First of all, thank you so much for the presentation and a lot of exciting news, and you've obviously hit the ground running, to say the least. Just about the presentation in general, will that be available on the website so parents can refer to it?
So I'm not sure who's working on a website, but I'm having trouble like clicking the links. I've shared it with you, and I can share it if you guys are able to post it. I'm just not sure as to what's going on with the website, or maybe we can contact and ask Patty, the person who's working on it, if they could assist us with that.
Okay, great. Okay, fantastic. And then you mentioned some new teams that are active at the school amongst the staff. Just wondering if, and we probably have to revisit this with the website too, if somehow we can get the information out of who are the stats on those teams, so that parents know that, and so that we know who comprises those teams. And also with the enrichment, I guess, to address unfinished learning, which is fantastic that there's a virtual option and an in-person option. Just wondering how students are identified for that, or if parents can be proactive in getting their child help, and what the process is for that. Should they call the office or talk to their teachers, or?
So right now we're working on recruiting teachers and seeing what different activities that they want. Nicholas Hall is our OST coordinator. And when we have more information, we're hoping within the next month, because we just sent a survey out last week to teachers. So we're still collecting the different programs. Then we will share it out with family. And we want as many students to participate as can.
Great, that's fantastic. Now with the parent meeting coming up Friday, is that correct? I'm sorry, I can't remember.
Yes.
So with that meeting coming up Friday, are there plans to record that? Is it just going to be a question answer format, or are you presenting information?
I'm presenting the same information I presented, but I want to target parents who are not able to make it to LSC or nighttime meetings. And that's why we strategically scheduled that meeting for 9 in the morning. But it's more of a building community with the parents, and so they can learn each other. So we'll do some social emotional, I'll do the presentation, and we're also opening it up for questions.
Oh, that sounds really good. And I'm sorry, what time is that again?
That's going to be every Friday, the first Friday of every month, from 9 to 10 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Let's see. That's congratulations on the marquee and air conditioning in the gym. Those are both huge. And I know it doesn't have anything to do with academics, but it's still huge. So thank you for being on top of that. I'm trying just to read my chicken scratch here.
It will support our fine arts. It's actually the air conditioning in the auditorium. So when we have plays, students and families can be comfortable.
That's a very good point. Okay. I think that's it. Oh, one last thing. I know with Jay at school, I guess they were experiencing some staff shortages, so they were actually full and not able to do the drop-in services at all. Just wondering if there was any update, or if you have any information on if they're going to be able to take on more students.
That's a great question. We just met about that today. So I'm working with Jay at school. Hopefully by next week, we will have an update. They are working on staffing. If staffing takes time to make sure everyone passes the background check. But hopefully, if we have more staff that are available to work, we're looking forward to opening it up as early as next week right now. That's our timeline. Hopefully by next week, we can open up and take in more students.
Okay.
And we're also considering pre-K students.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. And the last thing, I know listening to you go through the COVID protocols, that I believe the information had that unvaccinated students who have to quarantine will be offered remote learning, correct? And so I'm just wondering, given the possibility of vaccinated individuals contracting COVID as well, would those individuals also have the access to remote learning, even if they are vaccinated?
anyone who has COVID will have access to remote learning, whether they're vaccinated or unvaccinated.
Okay, wonderful. Okay. I think that's all I have. Anyone else before we move on? Okay, again, thank you so much, Principal Gibson. The next item on the agenda is the IB report. I do not believe we have one, but I don't want to rush by it if we do have any information from as far as the IB report, or I think Ms. Perillis is on the line. If you wanted to say anything, Ms. Perillis, you're more than welcome to.
Sure. I actually did send one.
Oh man.
To the Tubman LSC email.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions. It was a lot of just beginning of the year information around professional development and, teachers attending trainings and some of the that we're planning for alongside with Miss Moore. But I did send a report, so I'm happy to just include all of those beginning of year items on the next report, if that's helpful.
Okay, yes, thank you. I should have checked it a little closer to the meeting. I haven't checked it in a couple of days.
No,
So
I think I sent it yesterday. So.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So
No
yes,
worries.
if you could please include that. Thank you so much for chiming in. Appreciate
No
it.
problem, of course.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is fundraising, and there are three fundraisers that were distributed prior to the meeting to discuss. I believe I saw Patty on the line. Patty and Principal Gibson, whoever wants to address the fundraisers, please go ahead.
I am here, but I can answer any questions. I don't know if Ms. Gibson shared the fundraising proposals with the entire LSC. If anyone has specific questions or if you want me to go through them again, whatever you guys want, I'm good.
They have been shared with the council, but of course, those calling in have not seen the information. So if you want to give a summary of the different fundraisers, that would be fine.
Sure. The first one I have in front of me is the minted holiday card. Some of you guys might be familiar with that from the last couple of years we have done it. It is where Minted, it's a partnership that we have with Minted where they donate 15% of all funds raised on holiday cards to FOT, and they also provide a 20% discount on their holiday cards. We wanted to get that in really early this year because it was a little too late last year. So that's why we're asking for the approval at this meeting now, but it's really more for around the November, December holiday season. That's the first one. And again, I don't know what the anticipated funds to be raised will be, but in years past, we've raised upwards of $200. I'm hopeful it would be more this year with a little bit more time to promote it. Do you want to do them one by one, or do you want me to just read the three out now and then we can do questions?
You can go ahead and do the three right now, and then we'll vote on them one by one. But you can go ahead and summarize now.
Okay, great. This is one. It's a new one for us. Will's Northwoods in Muskie Fest Street Festival. This is a bar restaurant in our neighborhood that does an all-day street festival on Saturday, September 11th. We were actually approached by them to be one of two schools, Burley being the other school, also in neighborhood, to have volunteers at the festival, basically with kind of suggested donation jars, and whatever comes in, Burley, the Friends of President at Burley and I discussed if we get this approved, that we would share the funds equally between us. And Will's also said that depending on how much is raised that day, they might also kick in some extra funds for our schools as well. So it's just a fun event. It's an all-day event. To be honest, I have never been, but I've heard from others that it's a lot of fun. It's food, drinks, bands. Kids are allowed to attend. So I think it gets a little bit crazier later in the day, but earlier in the day, I do believe that it's okay to bring your kids along, and I think It is from 10 to 10, so 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. on that day, Saturday, September 11th, and we would need volunteers to help us with that if it gets approved. And then finally, the last one is the spirit wear. This is a new one for Friends of. We have asked in the past, I believe, to do some year-round fundraising with spirit wear, as other Friends of organizations have done. I know in years past, admin has taken over that role, but we would like to help this year because with the new name, there's just a lot that needs to be done. We need like sports jerseys. We need, a lot of families have been reaching out about getting some new Harriet Tubman shirts for them and their children, along with swag like water bottles, yard signs. There's a lot that's needed. And we have a really good company that we use who is a CPS family as well. So he would give us a really good deal. I also spoke with a friend of one of our teachers, Ali Buchan, put me in touch with a very good friend of hers who also is offering us some really good pricing. So we are interested in doing that this year. We'd like to take over that role of providing spirit wear to our community throughout the school year. We did propose that we would love the funds to support the athletic department, meaning PE and sports, along with the arts program, drama, music, art supplies. But we don't really know where previous spirit wear funds have gone. That really hasn't ever been made clear to us. This was discussed at our meeting last week, and none of us really knew that answer. So we certainly don't want to take away from wherever those funds were going previously. So happy to support it in that way as well. So those are the three from FOT.
And with the spirit wear, I'm not in objection of Friends of Tubman selling the spirit wear. I'm just want, right now, I don't have access to the budget, and I don't want to allocate the money just for sports and take it from a place where there was a need. So if we could change that proposal to say, however LSC sees a fit to support school improvement, I would be okay with it. And if we can use it for sports and stuff, and we see that that's where the need is, it's fine. But I would like to wait till we see how the money was being used instead of specifying a specific area and taking from another area. I think I heard that from FOT members as well.
Yeah, we are good with that. Whatever the LSC feels, or once you've had a chance to look over where it's gone years past, we certainly don't want to take away from that. So we support that. I know you brought that up, Principal Gibson, at our meeting, and that was appreciated because I hadn't thought of that. So that was helpful.
Are there any?
And
Go ahead.
Sorry. Just to echo what Principal Gibson was saying, I had the same thought, Patty, where, maybe it would be like a portion goes to student programming, kind of making it more general, and then it would be up to, Principal Gibson and the LSC, which obviously I appreciate the thought of define arts and music, but, like, for example, right now, sadly, because we haven't done a performance in 2 years, we actually have quite a few funds. So I wouldn't want it to come to us when another department might need it more at this current time. But I do like, obviously, the idea of going to all student programming. And I get why it's on there because, often with fundraisers, you want to know where the money is going if you're going to buy the swag. Question was, if we do this, would this be like the place to get spirit wear? So like if I'm a parent of a kid and they want spirit wear for PE uniform, like, so it would be like one-stop shop, like we always go there. That's what I don't want to get like two different competing, like an in school and a Friends of Tubman spirit wear like going on. So I think as long as it's one centrally
yeah, that was kind of what we were proposing, said it's one centrally, kind of take that off the hands of the office. And also, there's a much easier way of doing this just from other schools of what I've heard. And we're able to do a lot of this online where parents can just go online and choose instead of, Maryland having to copy all those copies of copies of copies. And you can't even tell what you're buying. Sometimes you're just like, it looks good enough, I'll get it. It's like dark and it's hard to see. So, I think I haven't discussed it really with Marilyn ever, but I'm sure that it would be a lot easier doing these online and having parents have the choice of, you know, not paying shipping and having it shipped directly to the school, or having it shipped directly to the home, which also takes away, you know, you don't have as many volunteers in the building now. I don't know what that's going to look like this year, but previously we've, you know, a lot of us have come in and helped organize all the spiritware that comes in to make sure it gets to the right place. But I think because we don't know if we're going to be allowed in the building this year, this would eliminate some of that as well, because I think a lot of parents would likely choose. I know the shipping was very minor in terms of the cost, so I think it was like another $4 or something, depending on what you ordered and that kind of stuff. So we could work with them on that. But yes, ultimately, that's what the proposal is, to have spiritware come through the Friends of going forward for this year.
And you did say it would be a CPS vendor, right? That you
It
would
is.
be working with?
We're not really restricted to CPS vendors as our board, because we're not really part of CPS. But it just so happens that the person that I have worked with before, and Mr. Oni and I have used for some of the school jerseys in years past, he happens to be a former parent of the school's brother, who is also a CPS parent at another school. And he, you know, understands that cost is an issue, and he works with us to find us the absolute best possible deals. And believe me, I have priced it and nobody can get even close. So yeah.
That's great. And I was asking, just thinking of ahead, you know, if, you know, at some point we need shirts for a specific event, that, you know, we would still be able to have that relationship with that vendor already there.
Yes,
and I
actually,
think
in
that would be a
fact,
wonderful idea.
it's the same vendor who did our shirts for the plays the last couple of years. Remember when I did that
Yep.
for the,
Yeah,
so
those
it's
are
the
great.
same guy.
Thank you, Patty.
Sarah, you had your hand raised.
Thank you, Patty, and thank you to the FOT for all the tremendous work that you do. I just a couple follow-up questions for the fest. Are they assigning slots? Are they going to give us give you guys a schedule, like for when how parents can sign up? You know, I'm just curious to know how that is organized, or if they're talking about how that's going to be organized, or
For the
that
Muskie
we could
Fest?
suggest. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to wait until we got approval at this meeting. And once I got the approval, I was going to create a sign-up genius
Okay.
so that anyone can volunteer, because we'll need, I think we might just do them in, I think, Sarah, when your microphone is on, there's like an echo. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
We'll try and turn here. We go.
Yeah, so I already spoke with the Friends of President of Burley, because theirs has already been approved, and she did a sign up genius, and I think she's got them in 2-hour slots, but we can do 1 hour, 2 hour, depending on, you know, how many people are banging down the door to help us with the volunteering for that one day. So, but yes, it's going to be opened up to the whole community once this gets approved.
All right, and so you had my other question was how we work with the I'm moving on to the spirit where my initial question was how we work with the company before, and it sounds like we have, so that's great. And then just you talked about how we're going to potentially manage and the kind of spiritware component there. Not only thinking about I like the idea about the online, having that presence, because it does increase accessibility. But then also thinking about where that storage would look like, if we do bulk orders for events and things like that. And considering magnets for vehicles, because I need to change mine in my vehicle. But then also the kind of the fiscal management of that, when moving forward, how we do that and making sure we can ensure that, in the past, it's, as you mentioned, Patty, has been with that transparent, but thinking about how we can make kind of the management of that more transparent, and it helps us make, those decisions we need to make, and how that aligns to, our fiscal needs as well. So thank you.
Is there anyone else who has questions or comments?
Can I ask, I mean, it's not about the fundraisers, but as Friends of, So petty. Is there any chance we are doing like an outdoor Halloween event? Because 2 years ago it was the strike and then it was a pandemic. Is there going to be some kind of like outdoor Halloween celebration? If so, I would totally help with it. And I was just wondering if that was being discussed.
Well, Lori, you came up in our meeting last week because we did bring that up. And actually, we are in the process of making, I don't know if some of you remember from years past, we had a magnet that kind of listed all of our upcoming events for the school year. So we just finished the magnet today, and the Halloween event is listed on there. It's going to be something outdoor. And Lori, you're in charge. We already decided.
It's my event. Yay!
It'll be
Love Halloween.
something like, pumpkin patchy, show up with your costumes and outside.
We
kind
did
of.
a cool one when I used to be at Hamilton. And their outdoor Halloween event every year, even like before pandemics, was super fun, and it was already outdoors. And so yes, who's ever in charge from your end, I would happily work on that event.
Well, yeah, you're in charge basically. So
I'm wearing a prom dress.
I'll call you tomorrow.
Yeah.
It came up at the meeting actually, and we all agreed, and we ran it by Miss Gibson as well, and we all agreed that we could do something because the fun run is earlier in October, so it wouldn't really conflict it if we do something later in the month.
Thank you, Patty. Anyone else have any questions for before we start with the motions? Okay, first we'll do the minted fundraiser. And is there a motion?
I motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any additional discussion? Okay, those in favor of approving the minted fundraiser as presented, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Let's see. Is that okay? I didn't see a vote for Emily and Marilyn. Is that an opposition vote for you, or is just your hand still up?
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Cindy and Emily, is that opposition or?
No, I was voting yes.
Okay, okay.
Sorry,
I
there's
thought
a
so.
lag.
I just want to make sure.
I think there's a lag time here. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. All right. So the minted fundraiser has been voted on and approved unanimously as distributed to the council. Next, we'll move on to the Muskie Fest fundraiser. Is there a motion?
I motion.
Okay. Is there?
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you.
I'll second, Lori.
All right. Any additional discussion? All those in favor of approving the Muskie fundraiser as distributed, please raise your hand. Okay. It looks unanimous. The Muskie fundraiser passes. For the, we'll move on to the Spirit Wear. I am going to motion that the fundraiser is approved with the following modification, that the funds, the indication of where the funds are, how the funds are being allocated, be updated to indicate that the funds will go to school improvement and student programming to be determined by Principal Gibson and LSC. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor, please raise your hand. Okay, it appears to be unanimous. The motion, or I'm sorry, the fundraiser is approved with the modification stated in the motion.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And also just a quick thank you to those that were able to join us at the back to school event. It was really great to have the support from both LSC, administration, staff, and just everyone. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Patty.
Thanks, Patty. Great work.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is committee updates. I don't believe we have any, but I did want to chime in that Vice Chair Sarah and I have met to kind of brainstorm and talk about how the LSC can support the administration moving forward. And we will be meeting with Principal Gibson to talk about that as well. And I expect that committee work will come out of that as far as discussing the spaces that committees move in and what committees will be needed. And so we will revisit that at our next regular meeting. The next item on the agenda is public participation. Did we have anyone sign up?
Yes, we had 5 public participants sign up to speak.
Okay, Mac, thank you, Nick. Mac, if you could please read for us.
All right. Members of the public are welcome to make comments and ask questions, but must sign in to participate. The public is called upon to speak in the order they sign in. The public is kindly requested to limit their comments and questions to 3 minutes. Based on the comments or questions, the principal may address some concerns directly and, if necessary, create an action step for the LSC to follow up with the involved parties at a later date. While the LSC will do its best to address any comments or questions, when necessary, more time may be needed to adequately address a particular concern.
Thank you, Mac. Do you have access to the sign up?
I do not.
Okay, I can just call. So the first member is Natasha Dunn. I do not know if she's here in the meeting. Natasha Dunn.
And before Natasha starts, I'll be keeping time. So if you hear me say time at the end, that's 3 minutes.
Thank you for that, Mac. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mac. I don't see Natasha in the meeting. The next person who signed up was Betsy Albright. Is Betsy Albright?
Yes, I am here. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Perfect. Well, hi, and thank you for all you do and for the opportunity to speak, and welcome again, Ms. Gibson. My daughter Mary is in the 3rd grade. Today, I wanted to request we do more for reading and build on Kate's comment actually earlier about finding time to get students outside, but I'll focus mostly on reading. We know the implications of struggling readers. Students not reading fluently and well by 3rd grade have lifelong impacts. They get lower grades, and they don't have the skills to access more complex information in their school career. Through our experience, Mary has been behind in reading since kindergarten. I've also done my own research and had conversations with many other families, and I wanted to share our story and request that Harriet Tubman do better with reading curriculum for all students, ensure that teachers are trained in and using Wilson, and invest again in reading specialists for kids that need extra support. It became clear to Mary's kindergarten teacher that she needed extra support in reading, and Mary joined small groups with the reading specialist in kindergarten. Unfortunately, that specialist left after Mary's kindergarten year, and we've had a gap in that support ever since. Notably, Ms. Fryer worked with Mary in small groups last spring and did make good progress. But because 3rd grade is such an important year, and because we haven't gotten the consistent support for Mary that she needed, we've sought help with Wilson reading specialists outside of school. Mary actually completed an intensive summer program of Wilson reading, writing, and spelling, and now she's doing tutoring 2 times per week. For transparency, we have spent $3,000 since June and will continue to spend more than $400 a month on tutoring. We know other families that are investing thousands per year on reading support as well, and obviously this is not an equitable solution. In addition, we know of 3 3rd grade students who have left Harriet Tubman this year because they needed more better or different reading support. So my ask is that the school does a better job in supporting our students and families to ensure that we have the reading fundamentals and interventions that are done early and often. And then as a side note, I have seen that other CPS schools in the surrounding area, as well as in the surrounding area, are really maximizing their outdoor time, especially around lunch. And I understand that there's probably logistics here, but I've seen picnic tables set up. I've seen students bringing towels to school so that they can set up their area outside to eat, and would love to see if Harriet Tubman consider doing this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. Next up, Dana Carmen. Dana Carmen.
Hi, everybody. For those that don't know, my name is Dana Carmen, and I'm in my 9th year at Tubman. I have 3 daughters, a 7th grader, a 5th grader, and a 3rd grader. At present, my 7th grader is still here at Tubman. I'm really excited to hear the school be adding intervention to address unfinished learning, as that's what I'd like to speak toward tonight, and also share our experience. So thank you for the opportunity. As you may already be aware, a report was released in early 2020, which concluded that the units of study, which has been our primary curriculum, is not scientifically sound reading instruction. And that is because the units of study rely on what is known as the 3 cueing method, which encourages children to look at pictures and use contextual clues to identify words rather than actually reading them, which actually reinforces the habits of struggling readers. Explicit phonics instruction has been scientifically proven as the best way to reach all students. My middle daughter, like Mary, had the good fortune of being in 1st grade while we still had a reading specialist employed full time. She participated in what's called the Reading Recovery Program, which required 30 minutes daily. For almost the entirety of the school year, she was pulled for one-on-one support. And even though she needed that instruction, initially she wasn't actually identified as a student in need of support. And that's a direct result of using the balanced literacy approach, as it doesn't provide a way to differentiate a true struggling reader from one that isn't. And that's how my youngest daughter, Kylie, fell through the cracks and really illustrates the dangers of relying on cueing. Kylie has a robust vocabulary and can memorize well. So even though she was behind grade level in reading, she kept being able to show enough growth on Fountas and Pinnell assessments, which rely on assessing how well a child reads, but doesn't actually measure a child's mastery of phonics. But Kylie is a master of cueing. She could guess words based on context and pictures very well, but as books got more complicated and less illustrated, she kept remaining under grade level. A friend who's also a teacher noticed Kylie wasn't recognizing her sounds, and after giving her a spelling assessment, she basically told me that she basically had no sound recognition capability. I was surprised even myself, because when we would read, I could tell she was behind, but I didn't realize she wasn't actually able to recognize sounds of words she didn't already know or have memorized. I bought a phonics curriculum, and once she and I started doing the work together, it was obvious that Kylie's challenges were much deeper than simply being behind. She was also assessed by a private reading specialist, and she reads at a 1st grade level, but her Fountas and Pinnell assessment actually puts her squarely in 2nd grade, close to 3rd. Kylie has the privilege of being able to receive support at a private center, and we have the privilege of being able to move her to a school that promised additional support outside the classroom, as well as to have her evaluated further for possible dyslexia or other medical issue that may contribute. But this is not the case for all families. Kylie may eventually catch up, but many kids will not. All of this is to kindly suggest that our primary teachers and diverse learner teachers should be provided the opportunity to take the Wilson introductory course, so that they can more easily recognize when students are in need and continue training as necessary. Having more Wilson trained and certified teachers on staff would help ensure we're providing the strongest reading safety net. Additionally, utilizing the Wilson curriculum as a Tier 1 tool raises the bar for all students, not just those in need of support. Kylie learned exactly what was asked of her. She learned to cue, but she's only just now learning to read. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana. Next up is Molly Conway. Molly?
Hi, everyone. First of all, I have to give a huge thank you to all of the members of the LSC for all of the extra work that you did this summer under a timeline that was almost unheard of, to be asked to find a new principal within, I think it was a 9-week, maybe 10-week. You guys probably know exactly the days you had. But I have to tell you that I'm absolutely thrilled with all of the hard work, and just really on behalf of so many families, thank you for finding Principal Gibson. Principal Gibson, thank you for applying for the position. Really, really excited just in hearing Principal Gibson talking about the mission and the vision. I'm hearing, words, nurturing, being able to express your feelings, empathy, mindfulness, having a strong sense of self, problem solvers. I think you've demonstrated within your report today that you embody all of those. And so I really appreciate the LSC for your work. Ms. Gibson, thank you for saying yes to the school, and really excited for good things to come. I am a person who asks a lot of questions, not because I expect people to have answers all the time, but because I'm curious and feel like if you ask a question, then it will lead to conversations that can potentially then, work to improve things. So I have a list of questions, but I'm going to save some of them till Friday. So for today, a few of the things that I just was curious about is one, do we still have a nurse employed at Tubman? I know that we had one in the past from a student who needed that for medical purposes. I wasn't sure if that nurse stayed on. Also, our school has had a lot of issues with the water filtration system in the past. Knowing that our water system has been probably a bit stagnant over the past 18 months and not in full use, wanted to see if we could have another inspection done again, just to ensure that the water that the students are drinking is safe. And then also in terms of the air filtration, I also would like to advocate for as many open windows. If there are fans, I think it's great that each classroom has the HEPA filter, but also circulating the air in each classroom. So is there a way in which we can provide fans for each classroom? There's also some CDC guidance on the actual furnaces or air conditioners, if you will, in terms of instead of having it set on auto, it's set to on. I also know that I believe ours is like 100 years old, and like only one person in the school knows how to utilize it. So, just wondering within the constraints of our systems, what we're able to do to increase airflow across the board. And then finally, as it relates to being outside, and again, I echo and appreciate what people have said about eating lunch outside if possible. But also, I know that Illinois recently passed the Right to Play Act, I believe it's called, where students K through 5 are required to have 30 minutes of recess each day. And so just wanting to make sure that that's actually been built into our schedules for those students.
That's time.
And that's time. So I will leave my questions there. Thank you.
Thank you, Molly. And next up is Laura Franz. Laura.
Hey guys, I'd just like to start by saying congrats to the new administration and LSC. You guys have done amazing work and appreciate your time. And I have so much hope and excitement for our school. So I just really want to put that out there. Thank you all. I'm here again to talk about literacy. It's just so crucial to our kids' lives. Reading really is everything. So here I am to say that according to the research, 1 in 5 kids has a reading disorder, with dyslexia being the most common. 1 in 5, that's really common, and my son is that 1 in 5. These kids can learn to read, but they need access to structured literacy program that is multisensory, explicit, and systematic. Even CPS is agreeing now, saying in their Moving Forward Together presentation, structured literacy teaching is the most effective approach for students who experience unusual difficulty learning to read and spell words. Students will make substantial progress if basic skills are taught in a multisensory and systematic way. And also CPS is providing a new literacy vision for K through 2, saying, we released the vision for early literacy that really centers on the fact that learning to read involves 2 critical components. Number 1, word recognition or decoding, and 2, language comprehension. One without the other leads to reading difficulties. Understanding the sound system of language and learning to read words doesn't happen naturally. So students require systematic and explicit instruction in reading foundation skills to crack that code and become skilled and fluent word readers. That's CPS words. Balanced literacy, which our school uses, does not do this. It relies on that 3 cueing system and involves making context clues and guessing based on pictures. And phonics is I feel like is sprinkled in. I'd also like to remind everyone that Lucy Calkins herself has stated that her program isn't for kids with dyslexia or struggling readers, that they should have access to decodable books until they have foundations of reading down. I'd like, just wondering why we're continuing to use a program that knowingly leaves children behind, especially in a pandemic when kids like my daughter Zoe had her kindergarten year cut short by strike, then COVID, then had her first grade completely remote and hybrid. Those are the most critical years to build and cement the basics to reading. Kids that aren't reading on grade level by third become less and less likely to catch up as the years move on. They're 3 to 4 times more likely to drop out of high school if they aren't reading proficiently by fourth. I'm just wondering what our plan is to help these struggling readers. Will we train the teachers in the structured literacy program that the school has already purchased and fully train them? The success of the program relies on fully investing in our teachers. Are we accessing the CPS money that they are providing as they're putting out this money for Wilson training? I think Lucy program needs to be removed completely out of our school, but since we are still using it, are the teachers implementing the additional phonics system that we also purchased at the end of last year? And I just want to state that I'm grateful for the teachers we've had. I think they've been amazing. I just think that they should really have access to training and on a high quality curriculum, because Tubman uses the balanced literacy approach and lots of kids are falling through those cracks. And like Betsy and Dana, I right there with them, we're privileged enough to spend literally thousands of dollars on summer reading camps and 2 to 3 times weekly programs on private tutors. And if you can't afford that, or don't have access to that in your life, these kids are just left behind and they're going to get pushed through the system. And come 3rd, 4th grade, it's going to get messy for them. And kids want to come to school when they do well. Let's focus on giving kids the
Thank you.
gift
That's time.
of reading. Please. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. That concludes our public participation. Thank you, everyone.
I didn't, Principal Gibson, I didn't know if there was anything that you wanted to address right now, or if you want to kind of take the information down and address those in your own time and individually as you see fit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I need some time to look into things.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Lori?
I was wondering, I just again want to thank the parents who are coming in to many meetings to talk about this problem. And I feel like we've been talking about it at least as long as I've been on the LSC and even longer. And I want to know, what can we do as an LSC to support this? Because people are coming to us, and I feel like as a parent rep, but also as a parent to 3 kids who really do need reading intervention as well, what can we do as an LSC to make this happen? Do we request a special meeting? Is it something that we get those teachers, those interested parents? We have a librarian, and I think that we're missing that component of encouraging kids to want to read and enjoy reading. I feel like there's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and I want to know, what can we do to support everybody involved?
Thank you, Lori. Sarah? You're on mute, Sarah.
I echo Lori's sentiment full force, and also wanted to thank Betsy and Laura and Molly for their persistent advocacy of bringing this to the table, and their courage in sharing. I'm in the same boat, honestly. And unfortunately, I am not one of those parents who can afford additional supports. And definitely, thinking about our role as an LSC and what we do, what are those opportunities? I know as a body that oversees budget, as a body that oversees accountability and adherence to the CNPP and the school improvement process, I definitely think putting our thumb into this issue is important, and how reading is, and in addition to our other priorities in terms of equity, is front and central on how we integrate the work on our equity committee, also asking those follow-up questions, making sure that is part of these conversations at each and every meeting. I know there's talk about the PPLC and having providing space for that group to be on our agenda. So from an accountability space, I definitely see the roles in LSC there. I also, as a parent, think would welcome the opportunity and look to find opportunities, how I can extend and how we can extend learning supports at home. Would it be something where we become trained reading specialists? No, but how we talk about that with our kids, or how we introduce our kids to literature. I mean, how we create those positive feelings to reinforce the confidence and capacity around our children's reading skills is important. So I'm really interested also in LSC being a role in terms of how we can empower family members to have their own sense of capacity to support and know where their child is and what does that mean. All of that there. Understanding the data, understanding the strategy, understanding the conversation. I definitely see opportunities there for us as a role. And thank you again.
Thank you, Sarah. Kate.
Hi. I just wanted to thank the parents that who are incredibly persistent, coming to all of our meetings and talking about their concerns about our reading curriculum month after month. I feel a little bit bad for Principal Gibson, because this is her first meeting that she's been to, and everybody else who's been here has heard these wonderful parents coming and kind of the drumbeat of we need to change our reading curriculum and we need more support for struggling readers and kids who are not being whose needs are not being met by our current curriculum. So I feel like in the last 8 months or so, or even longer, that these parents have been coming and talking to us every visit, every meeting. We haven't really been able to like set up a timeline to have a specific conversation about this, because a lot of it was, lots of different things that have been going on. But I would hope that I know that this is all kind of newish information to Principal Gibson in terms of the frustrations that parents have been having and the concerns about the curriculum. But I really do think we owe it to the parents who have been coming every time to kind of have a timeline about like how we talk about this as an LSC and the new administration's approach to these concerns. And I do not want to hijack what Principal Gibson is kind of working on first, but I have to say, as an LSC, this is the area that I think the parents have been most vocal about. And I think it's very important from the equity standpoint that we're trying to look through things at. And I think we as an LSC need to advocate for everyone who's been coming to us and talking about this, that this is probably one of the highest priorities of what we are working on as a school initially, as Principal Gibson kind of starts laying out what she's working on.
Thank you, Kate. Is there anyone else? Okay, thank you to all of the parents who signed up for public participation, and just briefly want to echo everything that the other parent reps, other members have said. We've been hearing about this issue for a long time, and these parents have stayed steadfast, and I want to commend them for staying steadfast, even though they can supplement their children's reading support. And that speaks to, I think, the Tubman community, that we really have the mindset that we only do as well as the least served. So thank you all for that. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to hearing, what will be done about it. So I have no doubt that it will be addressed. So thanks for everything. Thanks for everyone who signed up and spoke. Let's see, the next item on the agenda, action item and next steps. And anyone please jump in if you have anything, but the only thing I have is that Principal Gibson, you mentioned that you would follow up on the timeline for the marquee and the AC installation for the gym once that information is available.
For the auditorium.
I'm sorry, yes, for the auditorium. Is there anything else? Anyone have anything else? Lori?
I think we're going to need to have a conversation, and of course, it's not on the agenda, and they didn't send it to us in time about CPS Office of LSC Relations sending out an email with no notice saying everybody immediately has to be fingerprinted. And I sent you all out an email that the form that was originally offered to everybody is not valid. And luckily, I was there when Kirsten came in and I had the correct one through the Raise Your Hand LSC forum. But also, there is a huge movement. They want to say that our meetings now all need to be in person immediately. But we've already done all of our due diligence and have set up our schedules to remote learning. So there is a huge movement to combat. I'll just be honest, what I think is a foolish, unsafe decision, but we're going to need to talk about it and what our stance is on returning to in-person learning or in-person meetings. I've already dealt with learning, but so we need to talk about that. So if it's the next meeting or what, if we have to have a special meeting, I'm not sure.
Thank you, Lori. For some reason, yet again, I'm not getting Office of LSC Relation emails.
Either am I.
Great.
The only way I got it was through the Raise Your Hand LSC forum. I've requested, and I was going to email Ms. Gibson. I've been trying since I've been elected to get an email, and we've tried all avenues, and I still do not get anything from CPS.
Sarah.
To your point, Lori and Tina, about contact information for the Office of LSC Relations, they did say that one pickup could be how your profile is set up in the dashboard, where you go to take those online learning classes. They said if that information is not updated, but then also there is a coordinator for each region, and that we should identify who that particular individual is and reach out to them directly. And I would encourage us to do that in writing, just so we have that documented and have it timestamped, so that we can kind of know, that say that we've done our due diligence. Now let's to give here about making sure that contact information is updated in the system on their end, so we're receiving that vital information. Yeah, Lori, and I was going to speak to that memo that went out too about the fact that it's in person, and I was hoping that with OMA would be, amended to some extent, recognizing kind of the power and impact and how it really has increased accessibility and participation to be virtual. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. So I will keep my eyes and ears to that work that's happening with the movement and see what that goes. But I'm sure it would have to be somewhat, it might, legislated, because that they were talking about adherence to OMA. And then just to follow up on next steps, Tina, on my notes I have just a follow up on the lunchroom, the lunchtime, what that plan should look like, and then just those the lunchtime, what are the possibilities, thinking about that, how that could look, and making sure that spaces are air friendly, if I can put it that way. So that's what I have in my notes. I just want to share that. Thanks.
Oh, thank you so much, Sarah. So I did write those things down. To the council, those members who are not getting Office of LSC Relations emails, please reach out to me so that I can list you in a collective email to send to the office. I would like to send that by Wednesday. So please reach out to me via email or text by then so I can do that. Also, I want to just take a minute to let everyone know that parent Jonathan Beck has offered to live stream and record the meetings to make them available virtually. I had not heard this from the Office of LSC Relations, so I did not know we were going to be forced back in person, but I'm happy to say that Mr. Beck has stepped up to make himself available and the necessary equipment to do that. And so we will, of course, work with Principal Gibson to make sure that we are within the proper guidelines for that, for certain. Let's see, Mac, I think you had your hand raised.
Yeah, Lori, Was your understanding of the Office of LSC Relations email that we have to get re-fingerprinted even if we just were fingerprinted recently?
Okay, so there's some first I will welcome all of you to join. There's a really great parent-led through Raise Your Hand LSC thing, and they cover a lot of these things. If you were fingerprinted, from what I understand from that group and what I've been following, if you did your fingerprinting right away after what was it, November 2020, the election, you're okay. It's everybody, which is, I mean, it's ridiculous that I've served on an LSC before. They have my fingerprints, but I had to go and do it again. Many people, they were swamped today, and they were telling me how many people they were getting from the LSCs because this did come very suddenly. The hours for these places are not very accessible. They take a lot of breaks. It's very challenging for everybody to have to do it immediately. I also want to say, when you talk about when we're looking at being forced to go back in, there is already, I was just checking, there's already people going to legislation about this, that we would not have to do it, that this does not apply. But there's also talk that if you put it in your bylaws, that your meetings will be held virtually, that may be able to stand. But there's a lot of information and it's changing very quickly. So I will keep you all posted, but I do encourage you to join that group, and I will email you all the link to join.
We tried to put it in our bylaws, didn't we? And they we tried to put it in several different ways, and they rejected all the ways. We were thinking legislation was necessary as well.
But just so you know, now it's becoming, the lawyers are coming in on our side, that there has been talk that CPS, not surprisingly, has misinterpreted the policies, and that they don't know what they're talking about, and they sent all this out, just like they sent out the wrong forms. So there will be a lot more on this, but we should be prepared and what that would look like. Again, we're talking about bringing people into the building. That would be bringing parents in, not being able to mandate all of that, and talking about safety, but also to talk about accessibility and how many LSCs. There is a letter that LSCs are putting out, and individual members are as well, supporting staying remote, but also that just going forward, even outside of a pandemic, how many LSCs feel that their school parent involvement went up, because it's easier to translate through an online system than it is to translate in real time. It is, childcare is not an issue. There are so many ways that opens up access to our LSC, which it should be as open as possible, by having it remote. So it is a huge issue, and I think it's an equity issue when we have people coming from all across the city trying to get to our school either in the morning or at 6. It's not equitable. So I think there's a fight, and I love a fight. So there will be a lot more information coming out. So thank you.
Thank you. Kate?
I was just going to say a couple of things. One is, I think pointing to the fact that normally we have our meetings and we have childcare for the meetings so that parents can attend, but we can't do that because we can't mix pods right now. So like, that is a statement too. Wow, this doesn't make any sense. And I have to say, like, I take care of people who have COVID all the time, and I don't go into restaurants. I don't go anywhere. I don't have to go that serves a purpose. We can have these meetings online, and this will be the riskiest thing I do outside a pod, outside of a protected group that you're staying with. And that seems insane when we can do this online. There should be nothing that we're doing forced in person that does not need to happen. We know education has to happen in person, but those pods are kept separated and there's safety mechanisms. Bringing 20 of us together or more is insane. And I think also all of the rules, including the CDC right now, are based on the Alpha variant and not on the Delta variant. And I love you all. I do not want to sit within 3 feet of any of you as much as I love you. And I think we need to stand strong on this one. And even if we can't, even if we can't, if we all have to be there because we don't have quorum without us being there, I really do think that we make it that any parent who wants to speak, so doing the live stream, and any parent who wants to speak virtually or over the phone or whatever, we do everything we can to protect parent voices who don't want to come into that room. We were elected. There's some things that we need to do that maybe we don't want to do because of our position that we have to, says CPS, but no parent should be put in that situation that their voice is taken away because they don't want to take a health risk that they're uncomfortable with.
Thank you so much, Kate. Was that Nick? Did someone else chime in? Did someone else have something?
I just wanted to let everyone, I just forwarded to the entire LSC the email that we got yesterday from LSC Relations, since not everyone got it. That way you all have the information on exactly what it said. But we've kind of all covered it already.
Thank you for doing that, Nick. I appreciate it. Is there anything else? Anyone? Okay, the next item on the agenda is the announcement of the next regular meeting date. On the agenda it says virtual, so we'll see. That's TBD. I'm hopeful it will be virtual. And that meeting date is October 6th, if I have that correctly, at 6 p.m. The next item on the agenda is to adjourn. Is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor of adjourning? Okay, it looks like it's unanimous. Again, thank everyone for calling in. LSC members, thank you for your time and service. Principal Gibson and AP Moore, welcome, welcome, welcome. And here's to the start of a great school year. Everyone have a great evening and a safe one. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.